Even before joining this team, I saw the overalls, I saw them in 8th, and I was like, that's not where they should be.
And we go out of the middle of the line. It's Switzerland, but Canada, the fast-charging Canadians with Phil Robertson's steering's done well.
You know, they've got a lot more potential than that. Still 6 more regattas, 7 more regattas to go. We're only halfway through the season, so yeah, we should get in the top 3, and that's the big goal.
After Cadiz, Chris decided to leave the team and spend a bit more time with his family, so left us in a little bit of a tricky situation. We were in a bit of a pickle. The wing trim is one of the most key areas on the boat, and CJ was an option. He was not easy to sort of get to confirm. With the American team changing ownership, his contract didn't get renewed, so we were quick to jump on him and get him on board. It's going to help us sort of in the future to bring up a young Canadian into that slot a few years down the track.
We start, I guess, with the beef, the ongoing beef that you seem to have with the Spanish. The other 9 skippers don't think we said you were at full there.
Yeah, USA probably dropped the world's best coach and one of the world's best wing trimmers, and the opportunity was there to scoop them both up, so we did, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the week ahead.
You know, out of everyone, Phil was one of the guys that I really wanted to sail with again, but the moment Chris said he was leaving and the door was opened, it made for quite an easy decision, you know. I've always wanted to sail with the Canadians again, I've always wanted to sail with Phil again, so yeah.
This is unreal.
Yeah, we did a series in 2017 called the Super Foiler. I was driving one boat, Phil was driving one of the other boats, and I mean, these things were just loose as anything. They were such dodgy boats. Yeah, Phil had a bit of a reputation of injuring his boys, and I think he went through 7 crew.
Nah, it was only 5.
Awesome. 7.
It's only 5.
I'll text Ed Paris now.
It was Belsky. Belsky did his knee, he did his MCL.
Yeah, that's another one. And then Dodson.
Remember that one? Guy Endine,
yeah.
Got scared.
He didn't go again with you.
Yeah, once he ended up upside down in front of the front beam, he got scared.
That boat got known as the Death Star, and no one would go sailing with him after that, but luckily he's a bit less loose in these things.
I like CJ. He's we see eye to eye in sort of racing situations, and he's a great character. I think I get on really well with him. He's got a similar sense of humour, so we have a good time and have a few laughs along the way, which is important.
I like sailing with Phil, but the one thing about Phil is you've got to keep him calm. If he's stressed, he's useless. If he's calm, he's one of the best sailors in the world. So that's my first job as a wing trimmer for Phil, is to tell jokes non-stop. To try and keep the mood as light as possible.
CJ, I think you'd sail the Super Foiler, wouldn't you, right?
I would.
What, really? Yeah, you would. Come on.
No way.
I
only drive a Super Foiler, I'd never do any other job.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I wouldn't sail with you either.
It seems that the 2 old friends came back together after a couple of years separation, and they just click immediately and start crack jokes, and they're super connected, and it's great to see.
Yeah, with that as well, we had a change in the coaching staff, and Philippe Presti came in, who was also with the American team in the past, and both are incredibly talented people and have slotted in really, really well. It's nice to have sort of fresh ideas as well for the team, and I've seen the little perk in everyone's step this week, and everyone's pretty focused on trying to innovate and get this boat going faster, which is really cool, and you know, it showed out on the water, so yeah, we're in a great place.
So out of marginal, we have to call the marginal foil or the marginal drive. I believe we need to be all the way out. How do we do that?
You know, everyone has a different vibe. Joe was amazing. From the outset of this team, he's been the rock, and you know, the guy that's brought us to where we are. And I think when a sports team changes coaches, you get a new perspective. You get new eyes, you get a new energy, and sometimes that's a really good thing. So you can get a little bit stuck in your ways as a squad and a team, and sort of the processes you do, and a new coach, you know, they have a different mindset to it and a different way to approach the racing, how to teach the people. Yeah, it's interesting, and it's refreshing, to be honest.
Get one of the G1.
Yeah, definitely need to take the nubbin off.
You're going to have to be real fast across the boat today.
It'll be a good test for me.
Yeah.
Otherwise we're straight into race day. I knew coming into it that Phil and the Canadians are probably the best starters in the league, where that's something we really struggled with the Americans.
And we go out of the middle of the line. It's Switzerland, but Canada, the fast-charging Canadians with Phil Robertson steering's done well.
So here we go, race number 1 at the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix, and right now it is Canada on the inside.
You know, it was pretty nice to come off the start line of the first race and be leading around Mark 1.
And what a start for this new lineup. Paul Campbell-James on board now as wing trimmer for that Canadian team.
Phil Robertson picking up Paul Campbell-James, but the American team had the big change.
And then, yeah, we could sail away from there.
So here we go, race number 1 goes the way of the Canadians.
Paul Campbell-James talking about crowd pleasers, Tom.
I've sailed with a few top helmsmen in my time, and some are better than others, some are nicer to sail with than others, and some, you know, I help them be better. And Phil's one of those guys. And I think my attributes and Phil's attributes work well together, and I think we have a good bit of synergy where we're greater than the sum of our two parts.
Seconds, watch for the line to turn white, and we'll be racing. Wow, there's no room for the Germans, so back to protest.
Penalty, early start for Germany and Canada. Germany, you've been disqualified.
Oh, Germany gets the black flag, and look at Canada, a 1 and a 3 for Phil Robertson and his crew.
I get quite frustrated when 10 boats on the start line, people are having one-on-one battles. It's not how you do well in this league, so it really frustrates me when you're on a start line situation and the guy decides he's going to beat the one boat next to him.
Come on, Taylor, go down. Down, you muppet. Oh, you...
Come on, mate, what are you doing, you idiot? What the complete lemon?
In that scenario, if they'd put their bow down, they probably would have been 3rd or 4th to the mark, but instead they put themselves into last.
What a full speed,
muppet.
Full speed, I'll race.
And put us into second last just for the fun of it. So yeah, I got pretty frustrated. I mean, that's something we're going to have to watch out for. You know, it's the guy's a match racer. To be honest, Phil had a bit of that as well in him, and Chris has done a really good job of making sure Phil really identifies that as much as anything, you're racing the clock, and when you race the clock, you're going to do well in the overalls. And if you're battling against one-on-one boat situations, you're both going to go back.
After 3 races, it is Australia out in front with their new skipper.
About half a second later.
And nice, a couple of comebacks.
Yeah, great comeback.
Yeah.
So the dance begins now as we are under a minute to go for the start of day number 2, Championship Sunday here at the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix.
A bunch of problems going into race 4. The screens weren't working, we didn't know how long to the time, the comms to Philippe was really struggling, his feed was delayed.
Canada, they're going to be struggling for room here. Who's going to be able to get on the foils at the gun? Emirates, Great Britain at the top of our screen with a late run in. Canada spin the boat down, but I think Phil Robertson's early.
You know, we basically sailed towards the start line and started 10 seconds too early, because we just didn't have the electronics working on board.
Canada miles over, Germany over.
Early start penalty, Germany and Canada.
Obviously super frustrating having had a really good Saturday to then blow it all on the first race.
How about Phil Robertson? He had to go across the line. He had nowhere to go, so he ran it, but that really cost him because that start put him to the back of the fleet, and they have finished in 7th place for the Canadians.
You know, I think that was really where I see my benefit to this team, is trying to reset, rally everyone, get everyone motivated, and try and make sure we bounce back, because every team is going to have a shocker. But it's the way that you react and the way you bounce back to it that is really important. So it was pretty awesome that we could put that race 4 behind us and go on to race 5 where we absolutely nailed it.
Taylor Canfield's going to shut the door.
This is the umpires. GBR, you're disqualified.
Oh, no!
Boat not keeping clear.
Big
big call.
Battle is now between French and Canada for that third spot in the finals.
Oh, good. GBR's disqualified. Coming down. How good.
Phil feeling pretty good about having Paul Campbell-James on board, and Stevie, it pays off as the Canadians come through. And this is your Emirates winning moment as Canada SailGP wins the 5th race.
Does that make a difference, Philippe?
Keeping Phil calm is hard, and yeah, he is one of the best sailors in the world when he's calm. I've obviously sailed with Jimmy, who is the most horizontal person you've ever met in your whole life. Having said that, before sailing with Jimmy, I sailed with Ben, who's the exact opposite. You know, Ben is the most fiery guy you've ever sailed with. So, and you know, I've got to try and just make sure that it stays calm, bust a few jokes out around the course, make sure everyone's laughing, because I think that's when this team will perform at its best. You're the Beavers!
Seriously, it's an emotional roller coaster.
For me, Phil Robertson is the best starter in the fleet. He's got the opportunity to come in hot at this start line with a bit of space, and 34 seconds to go. They're all lined up for the tide run. I'm in Jimmy Spithill coming in hot. I love the Australian position here. He should be able to convert this into a fast forward mode and roll over the top of those other two boats. All of them late, win less speed. Simple facts there. He should hang on the inside of New Zealand though as Australia move away, and it's now all about, can the Australians keep it clean from here?
Nice job.
Great job.
By everyone.
Yeah.
Well, they've turned the boat first. They're on the inside and they've stayed on the foils. Numbers up on New Zealand here. They're foiling.
I like this combo, the Phil CJ combo. Yeah, me too.
Canada split as well. They cover off New Zealand. Great news for Australia, I think.
I reckon we're going to the good side.
I think we're going all right.
Advantage to the Aussies here, but as they're close to the boundary, they're going to have to give room to Canada. They will have to turn on board Australia. This is classic match race stuff here.
We've got a big cross coming, Stevie. Look at this. The Kiwis on the right-hand side, the Australians and the Canadians are all going to converge right in the center of the course.
Yeah, Phil absolutely nailed that top mark to kind of get the tack in before them and give them almost a fake lap.
They are foiling. New Zealand, Australia are going to be slow here. Right of way, Canada on the inside.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
Forced it too hard. They're struggling here. Canada in great shape, up on the foils. It's advantage Canada.
Go Beavers! Go the Beavers! Come on!
And Australia right behind them. They are up on the foils as well.
There go the Aussies. First to turn, top left of screen, New Zealand. They look like they're in good wind at the moment, but it is going to be about accuracy.
Yeah, that last run was just all about speed, and we sort of let the other two boats back into it by being a little bit slower.
Jimmy Spithill calls for the turn.
He has the right of way. But here go Canada, they're going to turn right in front of them. They play blocker. Can the Canadians stick this manoeuvre for the top? New Zealand, now they have the right of way if they can get into that yellow circle here. Advantage New Zealand for me as they come in. And with a last minute dive, they've got the right of way on the inside and they hit this circle.
Look at this, the Kiwis as they come in. It is going to be tight at the corner. Who's going to give way?
Canada have got to give room to Australia and to New Zealand. Oh, there's going to be protests here, Todd.
This is the umpire's penalty. Canada, penalty Australia. Australia not giving Mark room.
And look how close they are.
Dive on the inside. New Zealand
meters away as they come to the finish line. Who's going to have the pressure to win it as they come up? Look how close this is.
Oh, it's a laughing. New Zealand have got to keep clear of Australia now, and Canada on the outside, but they should have a penalty.
Canada crosses the line. Now who turns the...
Craig Mitchell's going to decide this. It's going to the umpires because there were so many penalty incidents in there. That unbelievable, incredible scenes here.
The Emirates winning moment will go the way of the Kiwi.
We swam. What?
Yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles, and that's something we can learn on. But what a race! Like, I mean, it's pretty rare that you get three boats finishing within 5 seconds of each other in a final. Not only 5 seconds, all three overlapped.
Now the dust settled after the final race, I'm still pretty gutted. You know, it feels like a loss, to be honest. You go into the final, there's three boats, you finish third. It's great for the sort of event side of it, but yeah, to finish last in the last race is not a great feeling, and to know we're in the lead with 200 metres to go, it's yeah, I'm a bit gutted because I know we could have sailed a lot better that last one, but it's part of the learning process, and you know, next time we're in the final, I can assure you we're not going to make the same mistake.
At the end of the day, probably what we should have done is just given them a little bit more room around the buoy. We were pretty close to the wall, but we could have been a little bit closer. It was one of those unnecessary risks that wasn't the moment to push them at the buoy, because we were the ones at risk.
When you change crew, there is definitely a honeymoon phase. So, you know, the hard part is going to be keeping the excitement, keeping that sort of vibe that we've got, and keeping the motivation to want to work harder and innovate in this class. You know, everyone's sailing these boats at a pretty high level now, and yeah, the more we can keep innovating the really, really small things, the better we're going to go. But yeah, I think we're in a great spot for the rest of the season. We're only halfway through, so man, plenty of points out there on the table. Well, as it stands, we still crossed the finish line in first place in the last race, so we'll take that as a small win.